Remember this? Hundreds of gallons of red paint splattered on the Salt Lake City District Attorney's office. Metal rods used to smash out the windows. An entire city block barricaded and locked down, but not by police. That was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, now a live look at the District Attorney's office in the heart of Salt Lake City. Still in a state of disrepair. And new tonight, we find out that the district attorney was pleading for help, but police never moved in until the damage was done.
I sat down with the district attorney tonight to ask why protesters were allowed to deface, even break into the building while police stood back and watched. His answer, concerning.
Get out. With me?
6 p.m. and protesters policing themselves blocked our 2 News cameras from the scene now unfolding in front of the district attorney's office.
I'm more than done.
Hundreds of gallons of paint dumped, obscenities defiling an office built as an avenue to justice.
The destruction that had started and the escalation to where it was going, and our concern was that we had not only crossed that threshold, but that if the response didn't come in a timely fashion, that it did not put at risk the officers that were inside this building.
DA Sim Gill knew the country was already at a boiling point after weeks of protests. On the morning of July 9th, he called the governor, Salt Lake police chief, and mayor, warning them he was about to rule the shooting of Palacios-Carbajal justified. Protests, even violence, should be expected.
We had come up with our own contingency plans at that point on how to protect and defend the building in terms of any breach that may happen.
Gill says he cleared out his building, leaving behind only a handful of his investigators who are also sworn officers. One of those investigators set aside, embedded for the night at police headquarters. Gill was watching the scene play out like everyone else on TV, increasingly worried why no one was stepping in.
I was texting the chief. I was in communications with the people inside the building here. I was understanding the urgency that they were feeling, and when I did not feel like the response was coming in the way that we needed to have it, I tried to text everybody and anybody.
Concerns heightened after a cop car burned on the streets of Salt Lake weeks earlier.
My 2 fundamental concerns were the safety of the people who were here and the safety of our community outside of this building. Because as those incidents started to escalate, my concern was that there were peaceful protesters who were also there who then would get caught in that crossfire.
After an hour, Gill sent an urgent text at 7:04 p.m. Mayor, where are my police officers to protect my building? We asked for assistance and we got none. I have over 100,000 in damage.
This was very urgent for us at this moment.
Did anyone answer your text?
Chief Brown answered my text.
And we have
the chief telling the DA he had an investigator embedded at headquarters, but Gill knew that officer had no power. Silence from the mayor, an elected official technically in command of the police chief. Mayor Mendenhall's office would not make themselves available for comment tonight, but sent us the following statement. Our intent on July 9th was the same as it had been since the day demonstrations began in Salt Lake City, to provide demonstrators with a place to peacefully exercise their First Amendment rights. But ultimately, as mayor, I do not direct the tactical operations of our police officers. Police are not commenting either, referring us to the statements made the day after protests.
I wouldn't say that we had a formal agreement with them.
Formal or not, Salt Lake police gave protesters not just the right to peacefully assemble and protest.
I don't want to say that the paint was okay, but we can identify the individuals involved in that and apprehend them at a later time.
I understand that those are policy decisions that are being done by a separate sovereign, and I respect them, but I can disagree with them.
When all was said and done, Gill says the protection he was pleading for came the day after, in the form of an emergency order from the governor.
I believe that we needed that level of protection, and I didn't care where it came from.
Now, Sim Gill reiterated to me tonight he wholeheartedly supports peaceful protests. He encourages it, but he knew there would be a small percentage who could take and would take the opportunity to wreak havoc that night. He says the mayor and the police could have stepped in. They did not, and he admits that is their prerogative.